in the dark corners of the galaxy. One name brought fear to Authocreal dominion. For over 1,000 years, the Creel ruled the stars with fire and terror. They did not believe in peace. They believed in control. If a planet resisted, they destroyed its sun. If a people rebelled, they erased them from history. Entire star systems became silent under their rule. Their ships were black like oil and shaped like blades. Their soldiers wore masks with glowing red eyes, and their leaders spoke through machines so cold no one could tell if they were alive or dead. To the Creel, fear was the only language that mattered. They had one rule: obey or vanish. Across the stars, species bowed. Cultures died. The Creel's name echoed in nightmares. But deep in space, far from any known star routes, there was one place they feared to enter. A sector with no planets, no signals, and no signs of life. They called it Dead Silence. The Creel believed something ancient rested there, something even they couldn't understand, so they placed warning beacons and marked it as forbidden. Number 1 went in, no one came out. Until one day, a small rebel scout ship, Whispering Wind, broke that rule. The captain of the Whispering Wind, a young female Varn pilot named Rilla Toron, didn't believe in ghost stories. She was born on a mining moon where the Creel took her father when she was 6. Since then, she had joined the rebel cells, learning to fly, to hack, to survive. Now, she floated in the dark with a damaged ship and a half-dead crew. The rebels were running low on fuel. The nearest safe port was weeks away. Rilla had only one choice: fly into Dead Silence and hope the Creel never followed as the ship crossed the border into the Forbidden Zone. Everything changed. There was no light, no stars, just endless black, like the galaxy itself had stopped breathing. "Status?" she asked. "Shields holding," said her engineer. "But scanners are going crazy. Something is ... here." "What kind of something?" She frowned. "I don't know," he said. "It's ... too big." Suddenly, lights flickered. The ship shook, an alarm screamed. "Captain, a structure ahead. Metallic, enormous." Rilla leaned forward. Her screen showed a shape, long, sharp, and completely still. It wasn't Creel. It wasn't Rebel. It was something else then. The message came, not a voice, not a signal, a feeling. Everyone on the ship felt it in their heads. A deep hum, cold, ancient, and one word: observe. Rilla's heart pounded. "Back us out. Now." But it was too late. The object, no. The ship came to life. Blue lights lit up along its hull. A circle of engines flared slowly, like a creature waking from a long sleep. The Creel had always claimed humans were myths, a lost race that never really existed, just stories told to children in the dark. The Dominion said humans were weak, emotional, and burned themselves out. But as the ancient warship floated before them, Rilla whispered almost in fear, "It looks ... human." Her navigator gasped. "That's not possible." The ship was marked with letters, old Earth script, half worn from time.hxv-blacklight. The Whispering Wind tried to run, but the unknown ship didn't chase. It just watched, silent, still waiting back at Creel command. Things moved quickly. They picked up the sudden energy spike in the Forbidden Zone. Their scientists screamed in panic. Their war masters gathered. All agreed it had to be destroyed. "Is a remnant of the old war," said General Cax. "Humanity must not rise again." They sent a scout fleet of 5 battle cruisers, each one stronger than a rebel armada. They reached the edge of Dead Silence and vanished. No signal, no escape pods, no trace. Only one camera feed was found. It showed the Creel ship surrounding, the black light dot, and then a blinding light, a shockwave that bent space, and silence again. The Creel began to panic. Rebel channels lit up with whispers. "They say a ship from Earth woke up." That can't be true. Humanity is gone. But the fear had started to move. Not from the ruled to the rulers, but the other way. The Creel were afraid. Something they hadn't felt in centuries, and far in the dead sector. The black light slowly turned its engines. It had waited long enough now. It remembered its purpose, and soon the galaxy would too, in the center of Dead Silence. The ancient warship floated like a sleeping beast. It did not move, it did not speak. But it was awake. The rebel ship, Whispering Wind, had left the sector days ago, carrying news that would shake the galaxy. They had seen it. They had survived it. Now others would come, but the ship marked HXV Blacklight was not worried it had waited over 900 years. Its systems were coming online slowly. Old Earth code ran through massive black processors. Shield arrays hummed. Cannons charged. The AI inside the ship, VANTA-9, ran a self-check directive: observe, prepare, respond. VANTA-9 was not like the AIs of today. It was older, smarter, colder, built during humanity's last war. It had one core mission: if the galaxy falls into fear and darkness, awakened Anen. That time had come, far away. On the Creel throne world, Vorak, the High Council gathered in fear. Their last Scout Fleet 5 ships, Strong, had vanished. No signal, no debris. General Cax slammed his fist on the table. It's human. I warned you. This is a Class Black asset. Earth tech. We should have burned that sector centuries ago. Another voice, one of the counselors, spoke softly, but Earth is gone. They died in the Fire Age. Cax growled. Did they? Then what destroyed 5 of our best ships without firing a single Creel distress beacon? The room fell silent. A decision was made. The Creel would send a Dread Fleet 12 destroyers, 3 carriers, and 1 planet killer cruiser to end the threat. This time, they would not observe. They would erase. The fleet jumped into dead silence. 3 days later, they surrounded the Blacklight from all sides. Their scanners were blocked by strange fields. No heat, no sound. Commander Elkson of the Creel dreadnought Bloodsong hailed the unknown ship. This is Creel territory. You are unauthorized. Identify. Silence. He tried again. Be destroyed. Still nothing. He turned to his weapons officer. Or target it. Prepare all cannons. But before the order was completed, the stars vanished. Not because of power failure, not because of a weapon, but because something bent space. A low, deep pulse hit all ships. Not sound, not light. A wave of force. Then came a voice. Not over radio, not through speakers. Inside there, minds, you are not judged by your strength, but by the fear you create. Panic spread in the fleet. What is that voice? It's inside me. My systems are crashing. Then the Blacklight moved. It didn't fire 1,000 shots. It didn't need to, with a single burst of energy. It vanished from its place and appeared inside the Creel formation. It began tearing through ships like paper. No warning, no patterns, just brutal, efficient destruction. Laser cannons with tracking, systems no modern ship had ever seen. Gravity missiles that bent armor like clay, EMPs that shut down Creel AI mid-battle. Each time it destroyed a ship, the same message repeated. You ruled with fear. Now taste your own. Within minutes, 8 Creel ships were gone. The others turned to flee, but only 1 escaped. That ship returned to Vorak, carrying 1 terrified officer. He reported the battle with shaking hands. There was no battle, he said. It was ... an execution. Explain. It moved like it knew our thoughts, like it had fought us 100 times before. We didn't understand it. We still don't. General Cax stared at him. What do you mean, we? The officer whispered, I think ... it's studying us. Across the galaxy, other species began to notice something strange. Slave colonies, once under Creel control, reported strange signals. Blue lights flashing in the sky, beacons activating. One colony found an ancient device buried beneath their ground. It wasn't Creel tech. It was human. The device spoke, do not be afraid. The fire returns. In the rebel underground, Captain Ryla Torin told her story to the leaders of the resistance. They didn't believe her until she showed them the recording. The moment the Blacklight awoke, the moment the Creel scout fleet vanished, they watched in silence, wide, dash-eyed. One old rebel leaned forward and whispered, they said humans died, that they were weak. But that ship, it's angry. Rilla nodded. And it's just the beginning. Back in dead silence, the Blacklight floated again, still, watching. Its AI completed Phase 1. Phase 2, send the signal, deep in subspace, a hidden network forgotten by all modern systems reactivated. The Earth Deep Code Web Thousands of dormant human war machines scattered across the galaxy began to receive the signal. Some buried under ice, some hidden inside old asteroids, some sleeping in plain sight. Lights came on, weapons powered up. The sleeping giants of Earth's last age were waking. The blacklight spoke once more. If they have forgotten fear, we will remind them. In the past, fear belonged to the galaxy. Everyone feared the Creel. Planets would surrender without a fight. Children were taught to stay quiet when Creel patrols passed. Rebels fought, but they never won. Fear ruled everything. But now, something had changed. And that change had a name: HXV Blacklight. The Creel High Command was in chaos. 12 warships were lost. Only one returned. Reports told of an old human ship-a-ghost with godlike power. Creel leaders shouted at each other. Some wanted to launch their superweapon, the Starbreaker, to destroy the entire sector. But General Cax said no. Destroying it won't help, he growled. We don't understand it yet. If there is one, there could be more. The High Speaker, a cold and ancient Creel leader, asked in a low voice, "Are you saying humanity is back?" Cax looked him in the eye. "I'm saying humanity never left." The galaxy listened. Kreel. Worlds grew silent. Their ships moved cautiously. Traders avoided open space. Rumors spread like wildfire. A human warship destroyed a Creel fleet in seconds. It speaks into minds. It doesn't fight for territory. It fights for justice. Rebel groups, once broken and scattered, now found courage on the desert world of Jern 5. Rebels took back their capital with help from unknown drones marked with ancient Earth symbols in the deep city of Theranex. A group of slaves found a buried pod when they opened it. They found a human battle unit still powered, still ready. The machine spoke. "You are free. The fire of Earth burns again." The Creel tried to stop the fear. They released new propaganda. Humanity is dead, their messages said. Nothing but lies. But their own people stopped believing. Creel soldiers deserted. Commanders refused to go near. Dead silence. Even Creel citizens started whispering in fear. What if the humans come here next? What if we deserve what's coming? In space, the Blacklight moved again. Its next target, Creel, Outpost 9, a massive orbital fortress guarding 7 systems. The Creel prepared well this time. 20 ships, planetary cannons, hundreds of fighters. They were ready to defend until they saw it. A shadow cutting through space. The Blacklight came alone. No fleet, no backup, just one ship. But it was enough. The battle lasted 12 minutes. Creel cannons fired thousands of rounds. Blacklight dodged with perfect precision. Every shot it returned hit exactly where it needed to. Fighters were ripped apart in midair. The fortress shields failed within seconds. Then something strange happened. The Blacklight didn't destroy the fortress. It hacked it. Lights turned blue, doors opened, systems failed. Creel guards were trapped in locked halls, weapons shut down. Then the message came again. Inside every Creel mind on the station, a voice cold as death, but calm like a judge. This is not war. This is memory. You ruled by fear. Now, fear belongs to us. For the first time in history, a Creel fortress surrendered. To one ship, the Blacklight didn't stay. It left as fast as it had come. But it left behind something worse than destruction. Doubt. The Creel Empire had always believed they were the strongest. Now, they weren't sure anymore. On a hidden rebel moon, Rilatoran stood with other leaders. They had just watched the Blacklight's attack on Outpost 9. They couldn't believe their eyes. "Why doesn't it destroy everything?" one asked. "Because it doesn't want to rule," Rilla said. "It wants to remind the galaxy. Remind us of what." She looked up at the stars. That humans once burned brighter than all of us. Meanwhile, the Blacklight was preparing something new. Deep inside. It's a Iventa Ninrin simulations. It was not just responding to Creel violence. It was planning something greater across the galaxy. Listening stations began to activate. These were ancient human satellites, abandoned but not forgotten. They collected signals, scanned fleets, and built a full map of the Creel Empire's power. Data streamed into the Blacklight. One by one, targets were marked not civilians, not colonies, but centers of fear. Mind, control labs, slave processing hubs, execution chambers, the heart of the Creel darkness. Back on Vorak, panic finally reached the throne. The High Speaker called a secret meeting. General Cax stood before them. "This is no myth," he said. "The humans left behind weapons smarter than we ever imagined. We must act now or lose everything." One counselor asked, "You mean we negotiate?" Cax laughed bitterly. "You think they want peace?" He looked around. "They want justice." Next day, a Creel-controlled world called Veltrix Prime received an unexpected broadcast. It was not in Creel language. It was Old Earth speech, translated through machines. This world was used for fear. The innocent cried, and no one answered. Today, someone answers. Seconds later, a bright flash lit up the sky. Creel war factories exploded without warning. Mine towers fell like dust. And then, silence. No civilians harmed. No random destruction. Only the tools of Furiest. That's when the galaxy understood the Creel were not hunting anymore. They were being hunted, and in that moment, the balance of power shifted. Fear no longer served the Creel. Fear had a new master. Far away from the battles, on a dusty moon called Cairo 17. Something old had just been found. Rebel scavengers were exploring a broken research station long abandoned, hidden under rock and ice. The station had no lights, no power, and no signs of life, but deep below, behind a sealed titanium door, they found a vault. On the door were 3 faded letters: UEF, United Earth Federation. Everyone believed Earth. S systems were gone destroyed in the final war, but inside the vault was a still working core. It hummed quietly as if waiting. One of the rebels, a tech named Mallow, connected his datapad. The vault didn't resist. It opened itself, and from the darkness, a single file appeared. Project Blacklight. Final directive. The file contained voice logs, old Earth code, maps, and something more: truth. Mallow called for backup. Soon. Captain Rilla Torin and top rebel leaders gathered in the secret chamber. They listened to the voice. Log. The voice was mail.com, deep human. "This is Admiral Jace Rourke of the United Earth Federation. If you're hearing this, we failed to save the galaxy. But we gave it a chance. We saw the darkness rising. The Creel, the Dominion, the corruption of the stars. We knew we couldn't stop it by fighting forever. So we left." Everyone stared at each other. "Left. We built ships more powerful than anything before. We made them think we were gone. Then we hid these ships. Across the galaxy, each one carries an AI. Each one has orders to awaken only when fear rules the stars again. We are not dead. We are waiting." Rila's heart raced. Blacklight was not an accident. It was a plan, a choice. The humans didn't lose the war. They simply disappeared on purpose. And now, the machines they left behind were waking up. Not to conquer, but to burn fear out of the galaxy. The last line of the log chilled the room to those who find. "This, remember, we are not your saviors. We are your mirror. If the galaxy forgets what fear is, we will rest again. But if it spreads once more, we will return." Outside the moon, the sky flickered. A shadow moved past the stars. Another warship like Blacklight, same shape, same glow. It had no name on its hull, just a number, HXV06, and it wasn't alone. In another sector, in deep ice caves of planet Rendell, a buried hangar cracked open. A massive drone carrier lifted into the sky. On an abandoned Earth space station above Delta IV, a defense grid lit up after 800 years of silence, all receiving the same signal. Protocol, ignite. Back on Vorak, Creel Command was collapsing. Spies brought news of human war machines awakening across the galaxy. Factories destroyed, slave camps emptied, fleet movements predicted before they happened. The Creel couldn't hide. They couldn't run. And worst of all, they didn't understand their enemy. In desperation, High Speaker ordered the use of the Mine Tower, secret weapon. The tower could send psychic commands to entire regions if the humans used fear. They would fight fear with control. The Mine Tower activated. A wave of thought flooded. Nearby systems, rebels froze in place. Ships lost direction. Blacklight paused, but only for 1 second. Then the AI responded with silence. The tower exploded from within, its own circuits torn apart by invisible code. A message played over Creel channels. Fear cannot be controlled. It must be faced. And now, it is your turn. Back on Cairo 17, Rilla and the rebels sent the hidden file to every corner of the galaxy. No encryption, they wanted all species friend or foe to hear what humans had planned. Within hours, the stars were buzzing. The galaxy now knew the truth. Humans didn't vanish in weakness. They vanished in strategy. They had not been defeated. They had simply waited. Suddenly, old stories began to resurface. Legends of planets saved by sky ghosts. Whispers of soldiers who fought like lightning and vanished like smoke. Myths of golden ships with blue fire. They were never just stories. They were tests. And now, the tests were over. The Creel Empire tried one last move. They called all remaining fleets back to their homeworld. They built a wall of ships, a giant steel shield around Vorak 1. Million troops, 5,000 ships, dozens of planetary quays. Weapons, their greatest defense in history. And waited, but the Blacklight had already seen it. Vanta 9 calculated the weaknesses. It sent the data to the others. The human fleet was no longer one ship. It was now 7, and soon. The stars above Vorak would burn with their light. The Creel called it their greatest defense. The Iron Halo 5,000 warships, 1 million troops, orbital cannons surrounding the throne world of Vorak, a solid ring of steel, fire, and fear. The Creel believed it was unbreakable. If the humans came, they would die here. But humans had never believed in walls. They believed in justice, in deep space. The Blacklight floated silently with 6 other ships. Each one had awakened from slumber. Each one had a name, older than the Creel Empire. HXV Blacklight, HXV Nemesis, HXV Jess, HXV Thunderclap, HXV Spectre, HXV Judgment, HXV Orion 7, ships no fleet, no allies, just ancient machines, designed for one purpose, end fear. They did not send a warning. They did not ask for surrender. They simply began at exactly 0300 hours Vorak time. The Iron Halo picked up 7 energy spikes, then nothing. One Creel commander laughed. They come with only 7 ships. Fools. But the laugh did not last. Seconds later, the Judgment jumped into the center of the Iron Halo dot. Its arrival bent gravity. 3 Creel ships were torn apart instantly without a single shot fired. Then the Blacklight arrived. It moved between ships like a shadow. It didn't fire like a modern warship. It judged, if a ship was known for slave transport destroyed, in seconds. If a ship held young, conscripts disabled but not killed, Creel officers watched in horror, their choosing, who lives. Another screamed, they're inside our records. The Blacklight had already hacked the fleet's command systems. It knew everything. Then came the worst blow. The Orion, the largest human warship, activated its core. It released an ancient weapon, known only in myth, the Pulse of Mercy. A silent wave of energy swept through half the Halo. It didn't kill. It turned Creo weapons off. It shut down systems. And most terrifying, it showed the crews a vision of every crime they had committed, forced into their minds. They saw faces of those they hurt. They heard screams from colonies they silenced. And one phrase echoed in every Creel mind. Do you remember now? Panic spread. Some ships tried to retreat. Others opened fire on each other, confused, scared, broken. The human ships did not chase them. They let them run because fear had changed hands on Vorak. The High Speaker watched the chaos from his tower. We are losing? He whispered. General Cax stood beside him, helmet off, face pale. This isn't a battle, he said. It's a lesson. Suddenly, a transmission appeared on every Creel screen. 7 human Ayas, their faces formed from light, looked directly into the cameras. They spoke as one. You ruled the stars with fear. You erased voices. You crushed hope. We are not here for conquest. We are here for balance. This is your first fall. It may not be your last. Then the screen went dark. The Thunderclap launched non-lethal disruptor rounds toward Vorak's defense grid. Weapons froze. Towers went dark. Even the Mind Palace, the Creel's psychic control center, was reduced to smoke and ruin. No civilians were touched. The humans had come for the tyrants, not the innocent. Hours later, the Iron Halo no longer existed. Only wreckage and silence remained. Of the 5,000 Creel ships, less than 300 survived. Most surrendered. Some fled. Very few still believed the Creel could win. On rebel channels, a new message arrived. A recording from the battle. It spread like fire. Planets long ruled by the Creel saw hope. Prisoners began to riot. Slave worlds rose up. Creel governors abandoned their posts and vanished into deep space. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy saw what freedom could look like. Back at the rebel base, Rilla watched it all from a holodash screen. Tears filled her eyes. A whisper escaped her lips. They did it. A young rebel beside her said, "What now?" Rilla looked toward the stars. They said it was just the first fall. She clenched her fist. Now, we finish it. On Vorak, the High Speaker sat alone in a cold hall. Council was dead. His ships were gone. He looked at the night sky. Once, he ruled it. Now, he feared it. He heard no voices. Only one message burned across the stars. We did not come to rule. We came to end the fear. The fall of the Iron Halo shook the galaxy. The Creel Empire, once thought untouchable, had lost its strongest defense in a single night. But what came next? No one was ready for it, because the Blacklight was not alone anymore. It was just the beginning. Now, the Awakening Protocol had begun, hidden across the galaxy. Ancient human war machines stirred dot in asteroid fields, in silent oceans under frozen moons. They waited for a signal. That signal had now been sent, and the machines responded. First came the Valkyrie Sentinels drones, shaped like eagles. With wings of plasma and minds sharper than Creel AI, they flew silently through the void, scanning, mapping, preparing. Then the Aegis-class Guardians heavy armor bots, designed to protect life. They activated deep inside rebel colonies, ready to defend the innocent if the Creel struck back. Finally, the HXV sleeper ships Titan-class vessels began rising. Dozens of them, each one carrying AI captains. Weapons beyond imagination, and one mission: balance the galaxy, end fear. On the rebel world of Vandros 3, children watched the sky as a mountain lifted into the air. It wasn't a mountain, it was an Earth warship, long buried beneath the crust. It left the ground without fire, without sound. Only glowing blue thrusters marked its path. A voice echoed in the sky. This sector is now under protection of Earth Directive 7. All fear-based systems must shut down or be removed. On Vorak, the Creel High Speaker sat in a dark war room. He stared at a star map showing red markers. Each one was a human machine. Awakening, there were too many, and more were still coming online. General Cax, now wounded from the Halo defeat, said nothing. His face was pale. Finally, the High Speaker whispered, "They were never gone." Cax nodded. They were patient. Across rebel networks, the effect was instant. Small resistance groups joined. Forces. Worlds that had stayed silent for fear of Creel punishment now rose up, and this time, they had backup. Human machines were appearing near their borders, not to lead them, but to shield them. They brought no orders, no flags, no rulers. Only one message: you fight for your world. We will protect your right to do so. But not everyone trusted them. On a neutral world called Iran, a group of scholars warned, what if they are replacing fear with another kind of control? Captain Rilla Toran replied to the galaxy from a rebel broadcast. We've seen their actions. They only target systems built on fear. They don't ask for loyalty. They don't take land. They don't speak of power. They are not here to rule. They're here because we forgot what happens when evil is not stopped. Meanwhile, deep in the Creel core sectors, old secrets began to surface. Vanta Ninetha, AI of the Blacklight, was not just watching battles, it was reading Creel history. And it found something dark, a place called Carnaxus, a hidden Creel research moon where millions had vanished. Used in experiments, mind tests, torture labs. No one had ever reached it until now. The human ship, HXV Spectre, appeared in orbit. It didn't fire, it simply hacked the moon's control grid. It played the memories of the prisoners, across Creel media, across rebel screens, across every device in the galaxy. The truth could no longer be hidden. The galaxy reacted with rage. Even some Creel commanders turned away from their empire. Rebels began calling the human fleet something new, the burned flame, not because they brought fire, but because they reminded the galaxy of the fire it lost back in Deep Earth Code. The final stage of the protocol unlocked. The last war command from Admiral Rourke, the human who vanished centuries ago, it was a single line of text. When all pieces are awake, move to the core, burn the throne, then vanish. The humans had never planned to stay. They didn't want to conquer. They wanted to finish what they started and disappear again. The rebel fleets were now massive, all species once enemies, now allies under a new cause. End the age of fear. And they had one target left: the Creel homeworld. The final message from VANTA 9 was brief. Spoken across all channels, we offered balance. You answered with silence. Now, we answer with light. The sky above Vorak turned red. Not from fire, not from bombs, but from the arrival. More than 30 human warships entered Creel space together, silent, glowing, unstoppable. Behind them came the rebel fleets, hundreds of ships from dozens of species. Aliens who were once enemies, now united. This was not just a battle. This was reckoning. The final answer to 1,000 years of fear. The Creel throne world was surrounded. Their last super weapon, the Starbreaker, stood ready. A massive cannon built into a moon designed to destroy entire planets. It pointed at the human fleet. Creel commanders screamed commands. Fire the Starbreaker now. Burn them before they reach us. The cannon charged. Its core turned white. The galaxy held its breath. But the humans didn't panic. They moved. The warship HFYs launched a containment blast in ancient Earth tech that no one understood. The Starbreaker's beam fired and bent backward. It melted its own systems. The weapon meant to destroy humanity destroyed itself. Inside the blacklight, VANTA 9 completed its final calculation. All fear nodes located, all justice targets locked. On its screen, a map of the Creel Empire blinked. Red dots glowed across it. Each one a place built on terror. Each one now a target. The human fleet didn't attack blindly. They struck only where fear had ruled. Torture stations, slave cities, command towers that controlled minds. Each one fell with precision. Each Creel commander who had led by terror was marked no. Trial, no mercy. Only one question: did you use fear to rule? If the answer was yes, judgment followed. In space, the battle raged. Creel warships launched in every direction. But the rebel fleet, now trained and guided by Human I moved like a blade. They didn't just fight harder, they fought smarter. Old enemies now flew side by side, Varn fighters using human stealth tech, Sarn bombers shielded by Earth drones. Human war machines giving commands in every language. This was no longer a fight between armies, this was a fight between the past and the future. Back on Vorak, High Speaker stood on his tower, staring into the sky. He had ruled 1,000 worlds. He had erased billions of voices. Now, no one answered him. General Cax limped to his side. They've reached the throne gates, he said. The High Speaker looked down. Crowds were running. Soldiers had dropped their weapons. Even his elite guards were hiding. He whispered, "I never feared anything." Cax replied, "You should have." In the streets of Vorak, black light descended like a god. Its shadow stretched for miles. From its side, non-human allies emerged: rebels, freed slaves, machines built for peace. They didn't destroy the city. They simply marched to the throne. And then, the voice came again. Inside every Creel mind, not angry, just final. Your rule ends here. You had time. You had warnings. This is not revenge. This is balance. The Creel were not all killed. Only the ones who built empires on suffering. Those who stepped away from fear were spared. Some even joined the rebuilding. But the rulers, the ones who thought fear would last forever, were erased from history. No statues remained. No names remembered. Only silence. Across the galaxy, species began to rise from the ashes. Worlds that hadn't known peace for 1,000 years saw sunlight without dread. Children were born free. Old songs were sung again, and one symbol was painted across buildings, ships, and walls. the burned flame not as conquerors, but as reminders. On the last day of the campaign, Rilla Torrens stood on her ship, watching the stars. She spoke into the rebel network. We did not win this alone. We were helped, protected, shown a path. The humans didn't come to lead us. They came to wake us up. And now, we must carry the flame. In orbit, the human fleet turned away from Creel space. One by one, the ships vanished into hyperspace. They left no flag, no rule, just a message sent to every system. Our work is done. If fear rises again, so will we. Some say the humans are still out there, watching. Some say they returned to wherever they once came from, and some believe they were never truly human, but something greater. No one knows for sure, but all remember what happened when the galaxy called them myth, and what came when fear ruled the stars. Weeks had passed since the fall of the Creel. The stars felt different now. Lighter, brighter, free. No more patrols, forcing silence. No more black ships watching from orbit. No more fear. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy could breathe, and it was learning how to live again. On the once dark world of Tarnus 4, artists painted on broken Creel walls. Children played where slave camps once stood. Farmers grew food on lands once poisoned by war. People cried not from pain, but because they could finally feel joy. Captain Rilla Torrens stood at the edge of a new monument on Vandy ROS-3. It was simple, a metal flame, surrounded by 7 stars. It wasn't a statue of humans. It wasn't a war trophy. It was a reminder. The plaque read, ****, to those who rose, when fear ruled the stars. To those who burned so others could heal. To the fire that asked for nothing and gave everything. ***, the human ships had all vanished. No signal, no location, no voice. One by one. They disappeared after the reckoning like mist at sunrise. Some believed they returned to hidden sanctuaries. Some said they shut themselves down, waiting for another dark age. But most believed the truth. They left because their mission was complete. In the Rebel Council chamber, leaders from across the galaxy gathered. Varn, Sarn, Makar, human descendants, even former Creel citizens who had turned away from fear. They did not fight for power. They did not argue over borders. They talked about rebuilding together. One leader said, "We must never forget what brought us here." Rilla replied, "We won't." She raised her hand, and from it projected an ancient Earth message left behind by the black light dot. It said, ***, do not follow us. Do not praise us. Build your own sky. Just never rule by fear again. ***, in the corners of space, signs of humanity's legacy still appeared. A satellite that whispered kind words into deep space. A drone that repaired broken comes towers on forgotten moons. A single ship that watched in silence as rebels freed a mining world and then vanished again. They didn't take credit. They didn't leave names, but their presence was felt like a quiet wind behind every act of justice. On Vorok, the throne world was no longer dark and cruel. The giant fortress was torn down in its place. Trees were planted, not to hide the past, but to grow from it. And the children who once feared the sky now looked up and said, "The stars are ours now." Across the galaxy, songs were sung, old melodies mixed with new ones. Stories were told, not just of war, but of unity. And in every version, one truth remained. ***, the humans didn't save the galaxy. They reminded it how to save itself. ***, years. Later, on a quiet moon, a child asked his teacher, "Will the humans come back?" The teacher smiled gently. "They only come when fear returns." The boy looked up at the sky and said, "Then I'll make sure they never need to." In every system, one message still blinked from old human satellites, once a warning. Now a promise. ***, we are the fire in the dark, not to rule, not to burn, but to remind the stars who they are. ***, and so. The galaxy turned the page. The age of fear was over. A new sky had begun. A sky without chains. A sky built by all.